INEOS have told Erik Ten Hag he cannot continue to play like that next season, as INEOS want to implement their own style of football. Will Ten Hag be in next season or not? We're not sure, but one thing is Ten Hag cannot play this low block, high pressing football, and we will discuss that later in the show, as well as news on Onana, Greenwood and Rafael Varane, particularly interesting stories there. But I want to start by focusing on the transfer news. There's a few stories about United going in for Frimpong, but more interestingly, Manchester United exploring South American talents, could be going for a bigger South American talent known to be better than Endrick, but also using the multi-club ownership approach of bringing in South American talents, loaning them to Nice. What are Manchester United's plans? So guys, please do that like button if you have not already. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new, and let's dive into all the news. Now, this has come from the United Muppeteers podcast that they have with Phil Brown. Now, this is a very good podcast in terms of information that they give out. United Muppeteers, since sort of the beginning of the takeover, whenever they've been giving out information, it's been very accurate in regards to Jim Ratcliffe's plans. And then normally a few days later, you get mainstream, or even a week or two later, journalists like James Ducker or Paul Hurst saying the same kind of things. They definitely have a good level of credibility recently. At first, I was quite skeptical, but the amount of times they've said things, and then a good journalist has come and said the same thing a week later. Even Romano and Ornstein have said things that they've said first. And they said that INEOS are looking to use a multi-club network, which is what Manchester City do, what the RB clubs do. Use INEOS, lose Lausanne, and the fact that they brought Bafunde, the best talented Italian player out there, to Lausanne. Maybe he'll work up to Nice, maybe he'll work up to United. They're saying that we are actively looking in the South American market. We've been linked to Anselmo a lot, but we're now being linked to other players like Estevao. We're being linked to a few other youngsters. We were linked to Zambrano earlier on. And actually, we are looking at young Croatians, young Serbians, and young European players. We've been linked to Francisco Kamada, a young Italian player. But we are also looking at young players in that market. Is Sesko Serbian or Slovenian? I think he's Slovenian. But I think we're going for more sort of 16-year-olds rather than 20-year-olds like Sesko. When they say we're looking at young players, we're looking at 16-year-olds. They said if we've got Anselmo, he would go to Nice on loan if we sign him, which fuels that rumour of we're going to buy Todbo, then loan them out Anselmo. They also said that we like Estevao. Estevao Willian is seen as basically the next big talent to come out of South America. People say he's going to be even better than Endrick, and we're going to talk about him in a second, and that Ashworth will not be in place for summer. They dropped a few interesting points, but I think Estevao is one of the really interesting names coming out. Now, I'm not going to act like I'm a South American expert. I'm not going to act like I know a lot about this player, but he's known as being an absolute baller, and Ben Mattison has done a thread which he's pinned to his X, or Twitter as you call it, profile, going through this player if you want to learn a little bit more about him. But this is one of the basics he covers. He plays attacking midfield and right wing. He's a left footer. He's 5'9". He's dribbling, ball manipulation, ball striking, vision IQ, spatial awareness, pace, decision making. That's where he's very strong. Looks like a very good technical player, and one of the highest, if not some people argue he's going to be better than Endrick, highest talents to come out of Brazil. And this is something that, Real Madrid have done well with Endrick, and obviously Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr., something that Man United missed out on, is I think Man United and INEOS need to take advantage of this Brazilian talent pool. We've seen Manchester City bring in Julian Alvarez, and they've brought Everchirio, or whatever the Argentina player is called. But only this Estevao Willian guy is the best of the best. I'm not going to act like I've watched him play. I'm not going to act like I know much about him. I've heard his name multiple times by multiple people, a bit like Endrick. But if we were linked to him by Romano, or we get linked to him again, I will definitely do my research on this guy and definitely do a bit of study on him. But there's another player that we've been linked to a lot in the past, and we're now being linked to again by Florian Plettenberg, who's a decent source of information, saying that Bayern and Man United both have Jeremy Frimpong on their list, and he has a release clause of £35 to £38 million, which is a pretty much quite a good price considering how good he's been at fullback this season. I like Jeremy Frimpong, and I really wanted him sort of before Wan-Bissaka started playing, that World Cup sort of period of, early 2023. I wouldn't say no to Jeremy Frimpong at United. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think no doubt he improves the squad. But I just think I'd rather spend our money elsewhere. When I'm thinking of United, I'm thinking of Xerxes, I'm thinking of Amadou Onana, I'm thinking of João Neves, I'm thinking of Bramthwaite, Todibo. Then I'm thinking fullback for me. Like, we do need a fullback, but with Jeremy Frimpong, he's almost like a wing back that, unless we have a certain plan of how we want to play next season, and that involves wing backs, I don't 100% know if it's the right. It's someone that's so good that you want to buy, but is it a Chelsea signing where Chelsea buy all these people because they're good and everyone wants them to buy them, but actually, is it right? Delow's been doing a good job. While we do need fullback depth, is it Is it the right time to spend 38 million of the budget on Frimpong? I'm not sure. I'm not sure because it's like I wouldn't say no to it, but actually I think there's more necessary signings, if that makes sense. I don't know what you guys think because I just don't 100% think he would fit. Our current system right now, we would not fit in. With our current system right now, Frimpong would not fit in. He wouldn't work. Obviously, that will change next season, but we'll see. Anyway, INEOS have basically told Ten Hag he can't play like this anymore, and this is sort of a bit of a deep dive into a report I covered in yesterday's thing that's been covered by One Football. They said that INEOS is not happy with Ten Hag's football tactics, especially its combination of high pressing and low defensive block. Despite criticism, the manager is unwilling to adjust his system, even admitting he isn't concerned about the number of shots that we are conceding. The team's disappointing performance in a recent loss to Fulham further fueled this dissatisfaction. Even if Ten Hag remains as manager, the new management behind the scenes will likely push for a change of planning style, as hinted by Ratcliffe. It's been suggested that INEOS have basically said that Ten Hag could not continue to play like this. They're not happy with how Ten Hag's playing this high press, this low block, this big gap in the midfield where teams break them through. They're not happy with it, and that next season, even if Ten Hag's here, he will have a style of play he needs to implement, which will be focused on attacking football. INEOS want to play attacking football, and if he can't do that, then they'll get a head coach. INEOS are going to buy players to play a certain way. They're going to hope Ten Hag can play that way and establish that way, and if he can't, they'll bring someone in, is what's been said. Now, I want to talk too much about Ten Hag. We'll probably discuss him more in our live stream. I really like Ten Hag, but tactically a lot is not working, and I know a lot of it is down to Ten Hag not having the players. And I think sometimes if we can get the right players in and get the bad players out, I think that Ten Hag can succeed because I know how good he was at Ajax. But tactically, right now, it is a mess, and I could understand INEOS' stance. Now we've got a little bit of update on the Greenwood situation from the very credible Athletic. They said Mason Greenwood would be reluctant to accept a chance to rejoin the Manchester United squad, as he still has misgivings over how the club handled the case, and that Getafe believe that United have triggered a clause to extend his contract another year, probably to see if we can get more money for him in the summer. Now, I think with Mason Greenwood, he will leave. One, because we need the money, and he's pure FFP profit of around 30, maybe 40 million. I think 30 million just because of the external circumstances going on. Two, I think Greenwood will be reluctant to return to England because he knows he's going to get a lot more stick. And I know that there's certain players in the Manchester United squad that will probably not be a big fan of Greenwood returning. Remember when it was announced that Willian was going to return, how half the fan base wasn't happy, how half the staff kept complaining, and there was a couple of players in the dressing room that were not comfortable about it. I don't think Jim Ratcliffe wants to risk unsettling the dressing room. I don't think Jim Ratcliffe wants to risk unsettling fans. I think Jim Ratcliffe knows that he's a good player, and while we need a backup for Willian, and while we need maybe a backup on the right wing, and Greenwood could be that guy, I think Jim Ratcliffe will be thinking this is 30, 40 million of pure profit. We don't know what he's going to be like when he returns to England, how good he's going to be. He's been decent in Getafe, but there has been a lot better players on the right wing, like Kubo's had a better season, Nico Williams had a better season, Yamal's had a better season. You know, I think INEOS will probably let go of Greenwood. I think Greenwood's okay with that. I think he likes being out in Spain, because I generally think if Greenwood comes back to England and we play Liverpool, the chance he's not going to get a break. Continuing on, talking of Liverpool, Liverpool was rejected by Wilcox. Now, earlier yesterday, it came out that Wilcox was going to sign. They said that Liverpool had actually agreed something with Southampton. Were trying to sign Wilcox, but he agreed personal terms with United and rejected Liverpool. So that shows you how highly rated Wilcox is, that Liverpool and the new regime under Michael Edwards want him, but he declined Liverpool for Manchester United. The deal is done. He's agreed to join Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano confirmed the deal is done, and we confirmed that in my live stream last night. But it said that Southampton are ready to insist that he serves a 12-month notice period unless United increase their offer. So we may have to increase our offer if we want to get him now. The plan is a little bit like Newcastle. But the interesting thing is he's been named as technical director, and that's a really interesting role. So we know what his role will be. Ashworth is sporting director, Barada is CEO. He's going to be technical director, and I think there will be someone coming in as a recruitment director, and those two will be working under Ashworth. Continuing in to the final bit, Varane sort of spoke out about sort of injuries and that, and obviously he missed a game earlier in the season. It was actually due to concussion. Varane said this: during a match, I performed a series of headers, and in the days that followed, I felt abnormal fatigue as well as severe ice fatigue. I reported that to staff that I was not fit to play, and they strongly recommended I did not play. I took a test from the doctor, which was passed on by staff, and I did not play the following match. But if I hadn't asked to take these tests, I would have probably lined up a few days later. I felt bad that I didn't play because of a migraine. And that's really interesting, because we're thinking, oh, Varane's out again. Why is Varane missing that game? Always Ten Hag dropped him as if to fall out with Varane. But actually, it was he just had a concussion and couldn't play that one game, and that's why he wasn't even on the bench at all, which makes sense. And I think better safe than sorry. I think with Manchester United, sometimes we've been risking Luke Shaw, risking Martinez, risking Casemiro too early back from injury, and that's ended up causing us problems. So I'm glad that Varane got that checked we didn't risk him that. Because I have to say, I still can't believe we're probably going to let Varane go for free in the summer. He is probably been our best player this season, in my opinion. I think he's been unbelievable. Anyway, thank you for watching, people. Please do that like button if you haven't already. And, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I'll see you next time. Bye.